This is a 4-lesson project. What you're going to do, one person in the group is going to go file and make a copy of this. You're going to edit this template rather than making a new document. So best just rename your document, your team name, and then maybe the month that you're doing this. You then want to share this with other people in your group. That's real important because people might be out and you're going to need to continue on. Someone's going to need to take over, and you're going to kind of go through this. I would just to say, please leave in any of the green headings, and you're going to edit the stuff in between them, and the manager is going to fill out this table. So let's just walk through it. On the very first lesson, you're going to plan out who's doing what for each lesson. So you can tag people, if you just delete this, for example, by hitting the @ symbol, and then you can just put in who you want to do that role or task. That's for day 1, for doing the research. Then plan out, even though it's not day 2, plan out who's going to be in charge in day 2, 3, and for the presentation, because you want to share and rotate the workload. And I just put a note here to say that whoever is the manager has the power, but they also have to, they have the responsibility of having this thing up to date for their homework. So a good manager won't have any homework if they've made sure that the report is filled out, or that someone else has filled out the report for them. But that's up to the manager. So for the first lesson here, you're going to do some research. Make a mind map. You can make that in draw.io or whatever you like. You can do any of this, I should say, you can do on paper and take a picture and insert it if you want. Some people like to do it in paper. That's lovely. If you've got some nice colored pens, why not? So then you have to say which one, why you did your idea. Okay, just give it some stuff here. And I should just say, leave the green headings in here, but just edit this text. So you can just delete and replace this with your own stuff, Then you're going to write a paragraph saying like what's out there right now. So for example, a calculator, and this is to show what you're building on. At this point, I just like to point out that the whole structure of this report and why it has all these sections is very similar to the 6th-year final project for computer science. So this is based on, if you end up doing computer science, what you'll actually have to do for 30% of your leaving cert grade. It is just a much smaller kind of version of it. So let's do a citation. So let's just say I find something from NASA. If I go to nasa.gov, I don't know why I'd be working on something that NASA are working on, but maybe it's a pretty impressive project. Now, if you want to cite something, so I'm going to say in my research, NASA have a rocket just like this one, and then I need to kind of refer to whatever the rocket is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put in where I've taken a piece of research, and I've said this is my piece of research. I go into tools, I go into citations, and then add a citation source and click website. All right, then I just put in NASA. There you go. Search. It's missing a title, the published year, and contributors. You can fill those in if you want. Like continue. So they give you a little option here. If it's not like that, it's like, for example, you don't know who the author of this website is. So you if you don't know it, you can leave it blank. But I know what this is. This is the NASA homepage. Brilliant. Add source. Okay. So there's my little thing there. Okay. So anytime I cite it, I've got a little button. I click cite. Okay. So I've made a citation. This refers to the NASA homepage. That's where I got this information. Then at the very bottom of your document, all the way down to the end, you put in a little part at the end to say where you put in your citation. So I just click this button down here, works cited, and I can put in NASA homepage. This is when I And that's how to cite things. Now you're like a professional researcher. There you go. Not so hard, you know. Grand. So that's that part. Let's talk about this table. So each lesson has a little table, a progress tracker for the manager. With the tasks here, you can add tasks by going in certain rows and that kind of stuff like that if you want. The most important thing is that the manager gives time boxes, I guess, to time bound the tasks for the various people. And as always, you can pop in names there and just say what time they started, and you can have a conversation with them saying, hey, could you get this done by 10:20? And then you can make a note if they were late doing it or something like that, or well done if they weren't late, or any problems they might have. Cool. So let's talk about the next lesson then. This is design. You're going to make a flowchart and try and use the proper blocks for it. You can do this in raw.io, but if you're doing a decision diamond here, like yes, no, make it a diamond. If you're taking inputs or showing outputs, so an input could be anything like in Python input, or you're typing in stuff, or it could be buttons, mouse and keyboards are all inputs, or outputs, LEDs, things showing up on the screen, anything like that is a parallelogram in it. Is that right? So decision is diamond, parallelogram is this, is the inputs outputs, and you can see it there. All right, that's for a Python program or an app or something like that. If you're making a website, you might not have a flowchart for that, because a flowchart would be very, very straightforward. It would be click on website, view website. So you instead do a website wireframe, and that's where you kind of draw out. Again, you can do this on paper and take a screen picture and put it in if you want, with an A3 page. But or you can do this in Paint, anything you want. And what it is, it's just mapping out where all the kind of parts of your website are going to go. Where are you going to put the banners? Where are you going to put the buttons? Where are you going to put the navigation bar? You don't actually fill anything. Wireframe, it looks like you could make it with wires, right? So it's just no color, nothing. If you add color, it's kind of edging more towards a prototype than a wireframe. But you can if you want. But look, that's what you've got to do, right? So that's task 2.1 is to do your wireframe. The next thing I should point out is this is where you build your actual project in lesson 2. So you want to have at least one person in your group all of this hour focusing on building your project. Then as you're doing a project build, it's a good idea to kind of have a how it's going. You can have a how I thought it would go versus how it's actually going. GIF in there if you want. But that is those tasks. And again, there is a little thing here for the task manager. Oh no, look, these should kind of stick to one page, but I can see here because maybe I put in some extra stuff. There we go. That should all be in one page. Lesson 3. This is the testing. This is for people who are good at breaking stuff. You like this. This is taking a really nice program and then showing that it doesn't work if you put a -1 into it, or if you type in a gazillion, it breaks everything and blue screens. So if the goal of this lesson is to break stuff. So if it's a program, you want to show how you broke it. The most important stuff you get out of this lesson is understanding how to do a test table. So this is showing for whatever you're making, a website or a program, how you tested it. You can't just say running your program is not testing it, right? That's testing it is putting extreme stuff into it. So in this case, this program has 2 inputs for calculating percentage. So I've put in 50, 100 just to check it works. That's great. And then I was like, well, what about an obscure number? Oh, I see. If it's not an even number, it kind of goes off in lots of decimal places. I thought it was going to be 24. It's actually 24.69165. Ugh, that's yucky. All right, so that might be something to do. Now, you do not talk about what you're going to do about this yet. This is just your results. Okay, these are not your conclusions. So no opinions just yet. Hang on, that comes later. And this one here, I tested a minus number to see what would happen. If you're doing a website instead of a Python program, a good thing to do would be kind of like what Google would do with it, is a user test. So Google will pay people, and I've done it a few times. They give you I think they give you there's a €75 credit card voucher, and they basically get you to they say, give you instructions like find the home button, add a student to this platform. They give you tasks, and then they just record the screen and see how long it takes you to find stuff. And if it takes you too long, then they probably haven't put the button in the right place. So you can, with these test tables, I just delete what's in them and fill them out yourselves. But you can definitely just leave the top titles if it suits your project just fine. Okay, so in this case, I've told someone, get your percentage score using this little website app that I've made. And the first person wasn't even able to do it. So it was, maybe the instructions weren't great on the website. And the second person, I thought it was going to take them less than 10 seconds, but it actually took them 24 seconds. So now in the next, this is what happened. This is what to do about it. 3.2. So I've said here, for the stuff up here, we need to add some kind of rounding function into this. So it goes from this to this, and maybe not allow minus numbers, or find some nice mathsy way of fixing the minus numbers. Maybe just get the multiply by -1 if you can do something like that. So you'll need to go around and help other people, because you're going to need some test users. So one of your group members will probably be migrating around the room and testing other people's stuff. So one of your tick boxes here today is you need to test someone's code that's not your group. Because other groups need testers, and you need them to test yours. Finally, try and fix any bugs as much as you can in your code. So that's what you're basically address your conclusions from up here. The final lesson is your presentation. So there's not a lot to do in the report in this particular lesson, because you're going to be doing a presentation. But again, if you could try and get a finished 5-second-ish, you can put in a video if you want here, right? A YouTube video is grand. Just be aware, as I said here, YouTube uploads from iMovie, for some reason it just doesn't really work very well in the school. Sometimes it works, but I wouldn't count on it. So you can, if you just Google on an iPad how to turn a live video into a GIF, you can put it in here in your report, and just write down 3 things. Because this is a team exercise, one of the things about this is, the friends we made along the way, or the enemies, or the arguments, what you have learned from working with your team members, because we're going to rotate around to different teams and that kind of thing. So you will not always be working with people that you would hang out with after school, so maybe there's a lot to be learned there in the future. So write down, this could be something like we learned that we really should be clear about what each other's roles are, or who was doing what, because both of us ended up trying to do the same thing. Or we got on so well that we ended up talking about something on Netflix for half the lesson, and we 100% ran out of time. So lessons learned, these are just what have you learned about teamwork? Because if you want to be a manager, a project manager, Google, Microsoft, or your own company in the future, these are things that might be worth remembering. How to not fail and go out of business, because one day your mortgage and your house and your yacht and your Tesla may count on you having learned these things, and it might help to write them down so you don't forget. So the only little tasks here are the animation video, as we set up here, and to have your 3 things you've learned. So like that won't take you too long, but that's because most of this lesson is you're presenting your work to the other groups. So you're going to present this report on the board to the groups and talk about your project. You can show your project as well if you want. But really the primary thing is you're showing this report. And given that you're showing this report, it better look good, you know? Because your names and stuff are going in here, so don't embarrass yourselves. Make sure your report is done every day. And best of luck. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with.